Evan and Luke distance themselves from the people they love as Mick draws nearer to them in Chesapeake Shores Season 6 Episode 9. Mick is still trying to mend things with Megan. After foiling a heist, Luke recovers from a gunshot wound. The episode begins with Mick telling Ralph, his sponsor, that he is going to propose to Megan after choosing a ring. He is aware that beginning a new relationship during the first year of recovery is not advised, but he emphasizes that they had been friends for more than 30 years. It's nothing new. Mick is positive that this is ideal and that having Megan in his life will make everything better. When he tells Bree the news, she reassures him that the kids are on board. In fact, they've all been anticipating it. Naturally, something has to go wrong when it's time for Mick to ask since he wants it to be special. In this instance, the ring is being placed in the dessert of another person. The phone rings after they get it back and he can ask her in person. Megan assures them that it will remain intact, but their son Kevin has some good news. Even so, Megan takes a moment to inform Mick that she does indeed agree as they dash to the car. Although Kevin and Sarah are expecting their first child, he is thinking considering their finances if they have other children and the difference becoming a doctor will make. On the other hand, she is not considering anything after having this child. There isn't enough time to get to the hospital in time when Sarah goes into labor, causing Kevin to phone his parents. Instead, the ambulance is forced to stop and Kevin is forced to give birth. Luke was shot, and while he will recover, he was extremely lucky since an inch either way. The potentially bad news is that he didn't inform his parole officer that he was visiting his parents' graves while beyond the confines of his parole zone. The good news is that his parole officer would overlook it because he stopped a robbery and did the right thing. But Luke is considering what happened. He struck lucky. He was shot, on the verge of being sent back to prison, and now he's wondering about Bree. But she is not interested in anyone else. You have friends who adore you, you weren't returned to prison, and you survived. I'll take that type of luck over anything else, she replies. Jess and David follow the advice of Miranda, the actress who is in town to speak with Bree about turning her book into a movie and put less emphasis on their personal problems and more emphasis on their partnership, her inability to find an investor for a vineyard, him waiting to hear about a potential lawyer for his dad. They go on a picnic and leave their phones at home. When they return, they find out about everything they missed, including Luke being shot, and Miranda gives Jess some encouraging news. She wants to support Jess's vineyard. She will have the paperwork prepared by her attorney. In the meantime, Connor and Margaret debate the advantages and disadvantages of taking on David's father as a client. There are many drawbacks, including the fact that they would be up against a government attorney, that the case would be difficult for them to win, that it would be costly, that they would need to hire more personnel, and that it might fail in front of a large number of people. Across both columns, the defendant is related to Connor's family by marriage. But what if we succeed? Connor queries. He also consents to take on David's father as a client. Evan departs at Abby's after Mandrake brought his father John back with him. He returns just in time to hear John reveal that while home from medical school, he dated Evan's mother. Later, after beginning his residence in New Orleans and finding a committed partner, he stopped phoning. John was unaware of Evan's mother's pregnancy. However, Evan is upset that he suddenly stopped phoning and believes that John is only present right now because he learned that he has a wealthy son. John claims he was unaware of Evan's fortune and that he doesn't require the money. Evan refuses to give John a chance despite the best efforts of Abby and Mandrake. He only sees John as the father of his mother's child. If Evan wants to see him, John decides to remain in the area, although it doesn't seem likely that will happen anytime soon. Evan informs Mick, he might be my biological father, but he's not and never has been my father. John is, in his opinion, 30 years too late to put things right. Evan also dismisses Mandrake. Given that they are a team and friends, Abby is obviously stunned, but Mandrake could never be upset with Evan. He adds that the man offered him another chance. Things hadn't been going well for Mandrake since returning from Iraq, and after Evan's car flipped, Mandrake had been left homeless. Before the car caught fire, Mandrake helped him escape. When Evan asked him whether he wanted to be his driver, he addressed him as Mandrake the Magnificent. This episode also reveals Mandrake's real name, Alan Wilkins, even though he intends to continue using the one Evan gave him. Bree offers Miranda her book for the film in exchange for writing the screenplay, and the actress accepts. Miranda, however, later receives a proposal to portray the antagonist in the upcoming Marvel film. She despises comic book movies, but she's taking it because she's concerned about her reputation. Consequently, Bree's film will have to wait and could just be scrapped completely. Miranda explains that she can begin creating screenplays for the time being. She's just starting out as a screenwriter, so she needs to start small.